So you think you're ready for a tolerance break? Congratulations. Congratulations. Sorry. So you think you're ready for a tolerance break? And if this is your first one, let me give you a bit of advice, okay? Coming from someone who has had a relationship with, weed, okay? Um, since I was a teenager, on and off, I've always taken tolerance breaks. And I've always been the kind of person to not want to depend on anything. I don't like to depend too heavily on meds. I don't like to depend too heavily on weed. I don't like to depend too heavily on any substance, honestly. And I feel once I do, I take a break from it just to reset and remind myself that this is not needed. Like, just to further enforce that this is not needed. Like, I don't need this to function. I never want to be a functioning fill in the blank, whatever the case is. I just don't like to be addicted or feel addicted to anything. So I've always taken tolerance breaks. I've taken breaks as long as 6 months. I've taken breaks as long as a year. Like, I take the breaks. I treat it like a privilege, really. That's kind of how I was introduced to smoking. Is if my stuff is not together, if my stuff is not in order, then I don't need to be smoking. That's always just how like I've operated when it comes to weed. But I know people who cannot operate, cannot function without it, and I don't want to be that. So once I feel like in my life things are back calm or everything is kind of on autopilot, then I'll start back smoking again. But I'll keep myself a little restricted from it. So it's not just smoking all day, every day for no reason. Like, no, it's like I make myself earn the weed, if that makes sense. And honestly, I feel like if people did that a little bit more often, you wouldn't have so many people that's like low key addicted to it. But back to you though. So this is what you should do. This is how you should operate when you're on a tolerance break. You you can't replace an unhealthy habit with another unhealthy habit. So what you need to do is start finding new things and new habits, healthy habits, new healthier habits, new healthier hobbies that would replace smoking. And that's basically like the entire point of taking a break from it, because in some way, in some sense, you feel you are dependent on it too much. Like, in some sense, your habit is getting a little out of hand. So for the creative people, they may look into habits such as like journaling, painting, um, even just coloring, uh, I don't know, writing music, those sort of creative activities. If you're more athletic, you may feel like you need to get in the gym a little bit more, or maybe like add a different type of exercise. Like, let's say you normally lift weights, you may want to add yoga to it now, because now you'll have a little bit more free time in the day to where you're not smoking and you're not high, you're not just sitting down and laying down and eating all day. Like, that might be something to think about. If you're just someone who, you let's just say you got a lot of work to get done, now you have more time to do the work, and that should be able to keep you focused. Now, I used to be able to just quit cold turkey and not necessarily incorporate any like new hobby or healthy habit. And that's why now I can say I should have been incorporating habits at that time, because although yes I did stop and yes I did last as long as I said I wanted the break to be, I still just didn't really tap into like other things that made my break a little bit more mentally tough until like I just weaned myself off of it. Whereas now I'm making it more of an effort whenever I do take these tolerance breaks to incorporate some different things. And that's the literally the entire point of a break, is so that you can realize what else you can do better with your time. Because let's just keep it a tall stack. Smoking is for the lazy person. And I'm not saying that the person is lazy. I'm saying it's for people who don't have anything really pressing to do, don't have necessarily any real goals to work towards at that current moment or during that current time period, which is why for me, majority of my tolerance breaks are when I got stuff to do. Like when I got stuff to do, I got things coming up this year, it's things coming up this month. And I realized, okay, I need to put the weed down for a little minute because I need to focus. That's how majority of my tolerance breaks go. So quick story time, I ran into a girl who was on a break, but not from weed. She was on a break just from speaking, period. And she just stopped talking for like a month. Like, stopped talking. But the thing is, she was in like social spaces. Like she actually used to sell like little arts and crafts things, and she would legit do the full transaction without speaking. And I'm just like, dang. Because that takes a different type of dedication. Like obviously people still like understood her. She was still kind of like, I mean, obviously she was quiet, but she was still just kind of like to herself and still able to make her sales and still able to do new things. I asked her like, you know, what were some other things that she did while she wasn't speaking? And she basically she basically let me know she got more into like arts and crafts. She got more into like documentaries and stuff that she would like to watch and things like that. But I went to Europe this summer and I came back from Europe. Over there in Europe, you can't really smoke weed. There's a certain percentage that's legal. And so I wasn't really doing anything. But when I came back, I didn't necessarily want to jump all the way back into weed, but something told me like, you know, pick up my journal and start journaling some more, just naturally, like whether I was smoking or not. I just made it more of an effort to go ahead and do so. So with me doing so, I realized like, okay, this is probably what I should be doing the next time I take a tolerance break. And literally, y'all, I'm not gonna front. I had this journal for a little minute. It's old. That's how much I have left right here at the top. And everything at the bottom is what I've already used. But I just realized like, okay, journaling really does help. I used to have a diary when I was younger, and then I think I just grew out of it. But getting back into it, I'm realizing like, wow, it really does help me collect my thoughts. It really does help. I'm not saying I get the same exact feeling as I do after like, you know, a backwood, no, but it does help me feel a little bit more grounded. And I think my relationship with weed, I think I used weed in place of that, like to feel a little bit more grounded, to feel a little bit more present. And although it does help to a certain extent, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing like I think I just need a different method of doing it, a more healthier method, right? Right. Yeah, I picked back up my journal. I'm not necessarily on a tolerance break. I'm really just easing myself off of the weed right now. I don't really care. It's not pressing for me to smoke right now. I'm not really tripping. And I also don't feel the urge or like the, oh, I can't wait till I smoke again. I also don't feel like that. And I think it's been because I've been journaling. I know some people are like, oh, you have to journal every day. You have to do this every day. And listen, when I got something to say or I'm feeling some kind of way, then I go to my journal and then I feel like I'm getting the most out of it. But like me forcing myself to journal every day, sometimes it really did feel forced. And it felt like, you know what, I don't got nothing to say today. Like, I'm grateful for today. I can have gratitude for today, but I don't necessarily feel like journaling today. I can say that out loud. You know, I'm grateful every day. But I know like the journaling community makes you feel like you absolutely have to journal every day. I journal when I feel like I got something to say or like I just need to get my thoughts out. Segue, side note, I really feel like people need to get back to pen and paper. I'm about to go on a rant a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. People need to get back to pen and paper. I understand that we need to work with technology because this is the age of technology. Like, you don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be out here not knowing what's going on. You don't want to be out here lost when it comes to technology and not knowing what to do with it, because that is the way that our world is going. But like, people need to get back to pen and paper methods of doing things. I personally feel like people need to get back to manual ways of doing things. Everything is too computerized. Like, have y'all not seen iRobot? Do y'all remember that movie Smart House that was on Disney Channel? It had the same dude from Luck of the Irish in it. That's also another Disney Channel movie. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, he was the same dude that was in the movie with the mermaid too. Unless y'all know what dude I'm talking about. He had pretty eyes and like spiky hair. Anyway, back to Smart House. That movie right there, I saw that movie young, and that's always been like just imprinted in my head. Like, if y'all don't know what happened, everything in the house was computerized and the house started tripping. It started tripping. Where they get people at is they market the technology in a way that appeals to people's convenience. So in turn, you feel like, oh, okay, whew, I don't have to do this anymore. This made this particular task for me a little bit easier. It made this a little bit easier for me, and I don't feel like doing this and blah, 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 blah. You're becoming lazy. You are becoming lazy. Lazier and lazier and lazier. And I know I say that as I'm recording something, but I'm just saying as a society, we are getting more and more lazy. Like, look at the cars. Now all the cars are about to be electronic. Okay, personally, it's a hell no for me. I need to put my key in the car and I need my engine to start. I don't want to think about, oh, I got to go charge my car. It's already enough stuff to charge. It's enough stuff for me to keep up with. And I feel like people need to get back to manual ways of doing things. I don't know. I just feel like people need to get back to pen and paper. People need to pick up books, physical books. The younger kids today, they barely know how to read. They barely know how to count change or physical money. And even when they are reading, they barely comprehend what they're reading. So they're just kind of like pushing these kids throughout the school system, and they're not able to really perform even at a basic level. And I refuse to have y'all be the leaders of the nation. And you can't even tell me how much change you're supposed to get back out of a 20 when you go to the store. That's just my opinion. My bad, y'all. I went off on a rant because this was supposed to be about a tolerance break, and I just went on and talked about some other stuff. Anyway, if you're on a tolerance break, congratulations. I'm happy that you decided to take this step. While you're on your tolerance break, utilize this time to get back into all the other things you used to like to do as a kid. Or maybe you want to get into pottery. Pick up pottery. Maybe you want to get into pole dancing. Go sign up for pole dancing classes. Use this time to really create. Like, dang, I'm getting the most out of this break, and not just I'm sitting on the couch miserable. I don't know. It depends on how heavy you smoke, but I'm sitting on the couch miserable for the first week and some change because I quit smoking and now I'm irritated. My nerves is bad. I'm going through withdrawals and I don't know what else to do. This is the time to get back into things that you used to love or things that you want to get into. Things that you have some sort of interest in. I've gotten back into journaling. I've gotten back into painting. But journaling specifically, I feel like really does help me get my thoughts out. Whereas weed used to help me suppress my thoughts. Like, looking back on it, I would be like, no, I'm not suppressing my thoughts. No, I don't feel like that. I still feel and things like that. You do, but it is at an altered, it's through an altered lens. It is. And if you continue on with your break, you'll realize like, oh, okay, yeah, I wasn't really, like, I was present, but I wasn't really letting my thoughts out or feeling my emotions or things like that. But that's what I got for today's video. That's all I wanted to say today. Good luck with your tolerance break. Keep going. You can do it. And pick up some hobbies.